Hey guys, Tyler here. About 2 months ago, I made a video which I stated that England wants to ban any sort of desecration of holy books, including the Quran. Now, in direct response to what I said in that video, a comment said towards me that England does not want to do such thing. Now, let's fast forward at least 2 months later, and it seemed as though that a man was actually arrested for burning a copy of his Quran. And so, without further hesitation, let's analyze the footage and the political landscape of England.
Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Don't be doing that.
This
Don't be doing that.
is called Sunnah.
Oh, no, don't be doing that. No.
Leave him alone!
No.
Back up, pal.
You're not supposed to do that, mate.
He has freedom of speech like everyone else.
Not freedom of speech.
That is freedom of speech.
Move away from me.
He has freedom
If
of
you don't like
speech.
it, leave!
Just leave the country.
What's that?
If you don't like it, leave!
This is your Quran. You're not supposed to be doing that, mate.
If you don't like it, you can walk away.
Yeah. No.
Hold that, please.
This is what I think of your Quran. Islam has no place in a civilized society. We reject it. And with that, I'm done. Thank you for turning up, guys.
What is your name for the public?
Can you stop twisting?
There's a snitch. There's a snitch. You're on the inside, mate. Call the police.
The setup this.
Still
Police state.
My hand is going numb. Just got fucked with this, guys.
Are you in the van?
Right, no,
Give us a bit of sterile iron, please.
Move back for us. Move back, please.
Right.
Where's the Mate, just wait there for me 1 second, yeah?
So the question then becomes, on what grounds was the man actually arrested for? Now, according to the police report that comes directly from the Twitter page of the Manchester Police, it said that the individual in question was actually arrested for inciting religious uncomfort as well as racial hatred. Let's analyze those two particular statements for the offensive. Now, when it comes down to the issue of incitement of racial hatred, I'm sorry, but what kind of race does Islam has? Because the last time I checked, Muslims come directly from different racial backgrounds. There are black Muslims, there are white Muslims, there are Asian Muslims, there's also Muslims from all kinds of different shapes and colors. And so Islam as a set of ideas refers to religious doctrines. And so a religious doctrine is completely different than one racial identity. You can actually be born a certain race and you cannot necessarily change that. But what you can actually change is your religious beliefs. And so sometimes people convert or deconvert from one religion to another religion or have no religion whatsoever. And so on that base of inciting racial hatred, that does not necessarily make any sort of sense, because when you burn a copy of a Quran, that tells me that that particular individual is actually against the ideology of the Quran and not necessarily going against somebody based upon their religious background. Now, the second thing is the cause of religious distress. It is true that when the person actually do in fact burn a copy of religious text, that does in fact cause distress or discomfort for any type of religious believers. However, a person through private transactions can do whatever they want to do with whatever kind of book that they own. So if somebody goes to a bookstore or purchase a book online on Amazon and they decided to get a Quran, right? That person can do whatever they want to do with their own personal copy of the Quran, including letting the Quran on fire. And because they're the owner of said property, they pretty much are allowed to do whatever they want to do, as long as it's not somebody else's copy without their permission, and so on. So the question then becomes, what exactly are the laws for the case of England when it comes down to free expression for this particular matter? Now, back in 2008, there was actually, of course, the abolishment of blasphemy law. And so pretty much since 2008, there was no such blasphemy laws for the case of England. Now, when it comes down to other kind of laws for religious expression, what does the law actually have to say on this particular matter? This comes directly from the Public Order Act of 1986. It says right here that nothing in this part shall be read in any given effect in a way that prohibits, restricts discussion, criticism, or expression, dislike, ridicule, insult, or abuse of particular religions or the beliefs or practices of their adherents. So based upon English law, it's not necessarily illegal to burn any type of holy book. Now, 2 months prior, it seemed as though that the Labour Party did in fact seem to suggest that they want to look into considerations of things like desecration of holy texts. And so without further hesitation, let's look at that same footage that I just mentioned just right now.
Mr. Speaker, November marks Islamophobia Awareness Month. Last year, the United Nations Human Rights Council adopted a resolution condemning the desecration of religious texts, including the Quran. Despite opposition from the previous government, acts of such mindless desecration only serve to fuel division and hatred within our society. Will the Prime Minister commit to introducing measures to prohibit the desecration of all religious texts and the prophets of the Abrahamic religions?
Can I agree with him that desecration is awful and I think should be condemned across the House? We are, as I said before, Mr. Speaker, committed to tackling all forms of hatred and division, including, of course, Islamophobia in all of its forms. Thank you.
To give you guys a recap of what exactly the Labour Party defines as Islamophobia, it says the following items: accusing Muslims as a group of people being responsible for real and imagined wrongdoing committed by a single Muslim person or a group of Muslim individuals, even for acts committed by non-Muslims. Accusing Muslims as a group or Muslim majority states of inventing or exaggerating Islamophobia, ethnic cleansing, or genocide perpetrated against Muslims. Accusing Muslim citizens of being more loyal to transnational Muslim community or to their countries of origins or to allege its priorities of Muslims worldwide than to the interests of their own nations, denying Muslim populations the right to self-determination by claiming that the existence of an independent Palestine is a terrorist endeavor, applying double standards by requiring of Muslims behaviors that are not expected or demanded of any other group in society, or using the symbols and images associated with classic Islamophobia, i.e., Muhammad being a pedophile, claims of Muslims spreading Islam by the sword, etc. This comes directly from the Free Speech Union. Now, the definition that the Labour Party had adopted for Islamophobia comes directly from the APPG. Now, it says right here in the report that more or less they actually considered the discussion of Asian grooming gangs as a contribution to Islamophobia. That means that any type of public figure who might want to talk about this particular issue will probably face some sort of censorship directly because it's defined as discussion of grooming gangs as well. Now, one person in particular, her name is Angela Reiner, has set rules on Islam and free speech because according to the Telegram, it says right here that Angela Reiner is planning to create a council on Islamophobia and is lining up a former Tory minister to lead it. Now, what is so fascinating about this is that there's actually interesting footage of Angela Reiner trying to cuddle the feelings of Muslim voters as well.
Got the same again that's happening now. In 2019, it was a very difficult year in Ashton. My voters were very upset with the Labour Party. I was with you and you saw me over the line. You supported me in seats that are similar to mine. People lost their seat. You were there for me, and I don't believe I could have done that without you. Now, I know that people are angry about what's happening in the Middle East, and I said live on TV, and I say to this day, if me resigning as an MP now would bring a ceasefire, I would do it. I would do it. If I could affect change, the only thing I've done, and Waj knows this, I got 3 British doctors out last week from Rafah who were stuck there. I worked hard day and night to get them out. They were stuck there because they've been helping. And I'm now working on getting aid in again because those doctors told me they went in with 10 suitcases and that lasts a week. Now they've been restricted to 2 suitcases. That won't last, that's nowhere near enough. So I promise you, the Labour Party, including myself, is doing everything we can because nobody wants to see. And nobody wants to see what's happening. And only last week, the Labour Party were supporting the ICC. The Conservatives didn't support the ICC. So at this general election on that issue, we can't affect anything when we're not in government. And I'll be honest with you, if Labour get into government, we are limited. I will be honest, I'm not going to promise you, because Biden, who's the US, who has way more influence, has only got limited influence in that. And Qatar, Saudi Arabia, all of these people, we are all working to stop what's happening at the moment. We want to see that. So I promise you that's what we want to see. And if Labour get into power, we will recognise Palestine. I will push not only to recognise, but there is nothing to recognise at the moment, sadly. It's decimated. We have to rebuild Palestine. We have to rebuild Gaza. That takes more than just recognising it. It takes resources. It takes infrastructure. It takes expertise. We need teachers. We need civil servants. We need all of the infrastructure. That's a big job. And I will push Labour to do our part in that with the international community. I've already spoke to ambassadors and people that that's what Labour will do. So I promise you I'll do everything we can. But I won't say things that I can't do. I cannot bring about a ceasefire. I am really sorry about that. But that is a failure of the international community. Yeah? I wish I could do that. It is not in my gift. You know, I pray that we can get that sorted as quickly as possible because thousands of people, innocent people, children, are dying and that has an impact on all of us. So I want to first of all to say that to you.
By the way, it's not just the guy who burnt the Quran that's actually getting punished directly by the law, but also this headline says that a free speech debate happens after Boston chancellor accused of Islamophobia. And so basically, because of the accusation of Islamophobia, he's in hot water right now. Another example is this person right here, which basically has a person commenting on trans issues and religious issues, and pretty much they find it to be a violation of what they're supposed to do within the council. One final example is this person right here, who's talking about the grooming gangs, but of course they accuse her of saying that the claim of grooming gangs are basically misleading. But getting back to the original story, Judge Margaret McCormack says right here that the Quran is a scarce book to Muslims, and treating it as she did is going to cause extreme distress. This is a tolerant country, but we just do not tolerate this behavior. The judge has ordered a pre-sentence report with a sentencing schedule for April the 29th. To end off this video, I have a question for every single last audience member. If it was the case that someone actually had a copy of the Bible and burned said Bible, do you guys honestly, truly believe that the police officers in England would do anything about that? If the answer is no, then it seems as though that the police officers has favoritism for one particular criticism of a religion, but not other criticisms of other religions. So, what do you guys think about this situation? Tell me in the comment section down below. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.